we're excited and ready to roll. Who's here? Who wants to talk about pipeline? Who wants to get more out of their pipeline? Dale
Hello.
is gonna, really dive deep on this. And Dale, I do have a couple of polls. I've got a warm up one if you want me to use it, and just I'll follow your lead on that. I would like to ask if you're able, if you're in a spot where you're able to come on camera, please come on camera. Also, if you can see how Scott Bryant has Phoenix, Arizona after his name, if you can add the area that you serve after your name, then you guys can start making connections even here on the call. Okay. And Dale will run the slides for you, but I will turn this over to Dale Dennis and we are ready.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Just to give you a little background on me, been doing real estate for well over coming up on 25 years. Decided a few years ago, we had actually started our first expansion partner in 2020. And what happened in 2020? COVID. So that kind of killed the expansion partner. And at that point, my wife and I decided it was time for us to start giving back. And so we both decided that we wanted to become coaches. She started first, she went through, and she's been a coach now for about 4 or 5 years. And then we still have a small sales team that we're still running. However, we're both into real estate coaching. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And so what we're really going to talk about today, well, my goal is today is to get a predictable lead generation machine that's working for you, that will have predictable results that you'll be able to rely on from this day forward to be able to bring the type of results that you want to have in your business. Would everybody like that? Okay. Is everybody muted? Everybody's muted.
I would
All right.
like that.
Yes, I would love that. That would
And
be
you
a
guys,
Good.
you can
Good.
unmute if you're somewhere quiet, and you can
Yes.
also fire up the chat.
Yes, because I do like being interactive, right? Because what we are building is a machine. What you put into the machine will determine what the output comes with the machine, right? So my question is going to be, where's your machine currently breaking down? Because your income's not, it's not determined on how hard you work. It's determined how well your machine's working. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about this because lead generation is not something that you do when you have time. It is your job, right? Most agents believe I help clients, I manage deals, I sell homes. Wrong. You have one job and one job only, and that's to create opportunities. Everything else supports that work. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that when I say the word lead generation, everybody goes like this. No. Okay, we're lead generating, has a negative connotation to it. I don't know if anybody that comes in, it's Monday morning, it's 9 o'clock. I get to do my lead generation day. I can't wait to go do that. Right? How many people are like that? If you like that, God bless you. Most people are not. Most people have a negative connotation to lead generation, right? But let me answer your question. What are we actually doing with lead generation? Some people say, I'm trying to find business, which is kind of true. Isn't the basis of lead generation all you're trying to do is to create an opportunity to have further conversations with somebody? Isn't that all lead generation is? We're trying to create an opportunity to have further conversations with somebody, regardless whether it's somebody that you're lead genning for hiring, whether you're lead genning for a new vendor, a new roofer, a new plumber, whatever the case may be, or if you're lead generating for customers. So, what if we were to just change it from lead generation and we're just going to start calling it opportunity creation? What kind of mindset will that bring in itself? Because if you understand your RAS is going to pick up on positive and negative, and they're going to go with it. If your reticular activation system in the back of your brain is going to pick up on whatever it is that you are focusing on, and if you attach negative information to that, then it'll pick up the negative part of it. You attach positive information to it, it'll pick up the positive part of it. So if negative is lead generation, what positive is opportunity creation, then by God, we're going to start calling it opportunity creation from now on because that's what our focus will be. Does that make sense? All right. That was one of the big things I wanted to get out of here. Now, you have to continuously grow your CRM, which is your core, and you have several inputs that you could actually do that. If you have a contact with somebody, they need to go into your CRM. I'm assuming I don't have to explain what a CRM is to everybody here. But your database in the way I do things is my database is a little bit different in my CRM. I do take all of these people that I meet at open houses or social media engagements or referrals or community events or even online leads, and I put them all into my CRM to be able to start having some sort of communication with them. But I don't technically call them my database. It's not technically my database because my database is more of my relations. These are the people that I'm trying to get into a relationship with, and I will actually add them to my database or label them into my database once I do have a communication system with them or I've communicated with them enough where I feel comfortable be able to move them into that. I label anybody that I've had a conversation with. And if your CRM should be able to label anybody. All right. But to start off with, we need to be able to anybody you have a conversation with, you need to put into your CRM. Now, not necessarily database, because I believe that your database is your it's not a list of names. It is a list of relationships. Does that make sense? Right. So now your database can be your greatest asset or it could be your gold mine. For a lot of agents, they become forgotten, outdated, irrelevant. And if you don't touch your database, then it dies. Like I was saying before, your database is a network of human relationships because your contacts will turn into conversations, but your conversations will actually turn into relationships and transactions. So, of course, I know that we're talking about database and everybody understands the importance of getting in touch and keeping in touch with that database and making that your priority. Yes, we understand that, but I really need to emphasize that because these are the people that know you, they trust you, they'll choose you easier. They'll refer you more often. But I still see agents that are trying to chase strangers, but strangers will compare you. But the people you have relationships with will choose you. I look at it this way: if you have 500 people in your database, and if only 10% of those either transact with you or refer you annually, that's 50 opportunities. And if you convert at least 50 of those, that's 25 deals without adding another single person into your database. So your next 25 deals are probably right here. All right. So every 100 relationships that are in your database should produce 5 to 10 transactions annually. So, but agents kind of chase strangers because they feel like it's progress. They kind of ignore relationships because in order to do that, it's going to require some consistency. And that's where a lot of the agents lack the structure to be able to get that kind of consistency. Right. So I'm going to touch a little bit about the difference between prospecting and marketing. We're not going to talk about prospecting and marketing. We're going to get a clear understanding of when to use each and what each actually does, which is why most agents misuse them both. Prospecting, that's the direct drive engine. It's intentional conversations with people, it's calls, it's texts, face to face, voice to voice. Prospecting is kind of like when you decide, I'm going to create opportunity right now. Marketing, though, it's kind of like the flywheel of the machine. It's activities that attract attention over time, like your social media, your branding ads, some of the content that you may be putting in. Your marketing is what works when you're not working. Marketing builds momentum, but not immediacy. Most people think they're prospecting, but they're actually marketing when they're posting on social media because that's actually not prospecting, it's marketing. You probably can't post your way to 150 deals, but let's keep that in mind. So prospecting is more for fast results and marketing is more for slow results. Prospecting has a little bit higher control and marketing has a little bit lower control. I don't know where you are at, each one of you are at your business, but early in your business, you probably see 70 to 90% prospecting and 10 to 30% marketing. And as you scale your business and become more successful, you're probably going to see 70 of your business become from marketing and the other 30% is at prospecting. And where you're at in your business is probably what's going to determine if you want a predictable one, you have to prioritize prospecting. If you want long-term growth, you have to build marketing. If you want over 100 or 150 deals, you've really got to master both. I just want to touch on that just a hair. All right. So let's talk about on prospecting, if you see, you get fast results, high control, and this is what's going to pay the bills, and marketing is what's going to build the future. So you need both. So how do we get the people that are going to refer people to you or do business with you has to trust you? Does that make sense? So how do we build trust? Trust isn't built randomly, it's built systematically. So if you get speed, consistency equals trust. So trust is actually created through repeated, reliable interactions. That is not an event, it's a pattern. So your first impression is obviously in the immediate responses when people reach out to you from marketing or even for prospecting, returning calls. That a fast response means that you care, a slow response means that you're replaceable. So because speed isn't impressive anymore, it's kind of expected now. So if you respond in 5 minutes as opposed to 30 minutes, your conversion rates are going to skyrocket. So follow up is not random. If it's not scheduled, it's not going to happen, right? So instead, you should have a follow up system for day one of somebody that's in your database, day three, day seven, weekly, monthly. You don't remember to follow up, you design it. Value based touches, your CRM reminders and value based touches, these are systems that you should already have in place for making sure that nobody gets missed. It's not checking in, it's kind of sharing value and providing insight, and you're being useful, like market updates or maybe an off-market opportunity or home value insights. And keep in mind, people know to follow up. They care about it with useless follow up. So when trust is high, you should be able to give them something of value that they would want to make sure that they continue to hear from you on a regular basis. And trust is going to shorten that sales cycle because one follow up doesn't do much, but 10 touches with familiarity, 15 touches would probably equal to trust, and 20 touches or more is probably going to end up giving you the conversions that you're looking for. All right. So let's talk about what you must be doing on a regular basis. When we start talking about these systems, we want daily, weekly, and quarterly conversations. All right. So daily is the non-negotiable. You obviously know it's a heartbeat of your business. If you have no daily communication, you have no pipeline. You don't build a business weekly. You build it daily. Now, touching people weekly is staying in touch, staying present, such as social media transactions, some quick touches, some check-ins. You're just trying to stay top of mind. Quarterly, that's for a deeper connection for your more meaningful relationships as your core advocates, things like that. So there's about three or four things that I wanted to make sure that I got out of this for you. Number one is that obviously you already know that your database is your database is your core, but we want to build a machine that's going to give predictable and results on a regular basis. The second thing is what's coming up right now is how do we make sure that we're keeping in touch with everybody in our database? And this is a system that we use. It's called DTD2. It's kind of do the database 2 letters at a time. If you've ever read the book called The 12-Week Year, what somebody has actually done is they've gone out and they've figured out that in the world, anybody that's got the letters of A and W and F and G and P and L and S and U, all these groups that they put together, it should be about the same number of individuals in each one of these categories. And if we do it a 12-week cycle on these, then you end up with touching everybody in your database every quarter. If you need this, we can certainly put this into the chat box and print it. If you are not using something like this, then you need to be using something like this that makes sure that nobody in your database gets left out. You don't have to guess who you're calling anymore. You're going to cycle through it instead. All right? Yes. Bridget.
So when they're calling through the DTD2, is
Mhm.
that just past clients and Sphere? Is that all the leads they've ever met? Could you clarify who is actually in that quarterly call?
What I believe, the way that our system works is the people that are different from our database than our initial touches. If we touch somebody and they get put into our CRM until they get labeled a certain way, then I'm still just going to touch them. I'm looking to try to maintain contact with everybody that I believe is going to refer business, do business, or refer business, or know somebody that may be doing business with us.
Okay.
and they have to earn the right to be able to get into what we call our DTT2, so to speak. That's how we do it. Everybody else's business may be different. If they feel like they need to do it a different way, or they get in touch with everybody, it also depends on how many people are in your database. If you got 20,000 people in your database and you're the only person that's trying to get in touch with us, you're not going to get through. I don't care what system you use, you're not going to be able to get through all of them. So it's about keeping relationship. So obviously you need to be diversified in some of your lead generation. Obviously your lead generation for your database is very important. However, you can't just rely simply on database. You've got to be able to do some things that would add people to your database. The challenge that I see most of the time is that the agents have all these different things, whether it's farming or it's for sale by owners or Zillow or open houses or direct mails that add people into their database. It's not a problem about doing all of these. It's the problem becomes is that they're doing all of these. It's not a problem doing any of these, but it's a problem doing all of these. So when you start looking at other ways to be able to build your referral business, because I believe in core and custom lead generation. Your core lead generation, obviously that's your database and things like that. My custom is I want to develop things that are custom built for me. So out of all these different things, I'm going to pick two or three that are going to match my profile and my way of thinking. So I base it on, and these are the questions that I'm going to ask: is how many does this match my strengths? Can I do this consistently? Can I scale this? Can somebody do this later if I need to? And I'm going to pick two or three of those maximum, and I'm going to master those before I add any more. All right. The other aspect that I see is that a lot of agents believe that they try to follow somebody else's game. They see that the agent Joe Schmo is being successful on something, and so they're going to do that. Well, the challenge with that is that's all fine and dandy as long as you're agent Joe Schmo. But Joe Schmo may have a different dispersonality than you, and so that way it fits better for them. You've got to be able to come up with the lead generation pattern that's going to work the best for you. You have to take your personality into consideration on it, whether you're a high D, high I, S, or C. All right. So quit trying to be somebody else's game. Do what your strengths tell you to do. So what do you enjoy doing? What are you natural at? What produces results? The best consistent lead generation that you do. So if you love community, maybe local events, volunteering. If you love education, maybe first time home buyer workshops. I know somebody that they love fitness and they actually signed up the 5 different gyms and they go to a different gym every Monday through Friday and they are crushing it because that's what they like to do. If you love investors, I'm going to tell you right now, investors will change your business if you're willing to deal with them. And if you love them, you can really change your business. But finding what you like to do instead of doing what others are doing is what's going to make the difference to you for your business. Because energy creates consistency, consistency creates results, and your best lead source is hiding inside the life you're already enjoying. So instead of trying to change your business to fit your life, or excuse me, change your life to fit your business, change your business to fit your life. And that's where your most successful lead generation will come from. It's up to you to determine what that looks like. And what do you like doing? Because the best lead generation is the one you're going to do consistently. And this is how you find out what you'll be willing to do consistently, and you'll get the best results. All right. Obviously, we need a time block for this and we need to track all of our information because it's not what you do occasionally, it's what you do every day. We got to protect it like an appointment and we have to track all of our executions, not go by whatever we feel we're doing. We're tracking everything so we can figure out whether our lead generation is giving us the results that we need to have or they are not. All right. Because this actual module is from a seminar that I put together. It's called 30 to 100 transactions in 18 months. And I talk about building it in 3 phases. Phase 1 is where you do where you set up your foundation. Phase 2 is where you start adding some leveraging. And then phase 3 is where you start building your teams and systems. When it comes to lead generation, obviously it's all on you. You're going to generate all the leads in phase one. But in phase two, you might be able to start adding some people, or you can rely upon your systems to be able to get things out to your database more on a regular basis. And then obviously in phase three, that's where everybody on your team needs to be lead generating every day or opportunity creating every day. And what does that look like for an administrative person? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we have really enjoyed working with you. And I know that your house is getting ready to sell next week and we're getting ready to close and everything. It has just been so wonderful to work with you. And we know that people usually have a tendency to hang out with people that are just like them. So I have to ask you, Mr. Jones, who do you know that we might be able to help that's just like you because we've really enjoyed working with you? That's a script for your administrative person or your transaction coordinator or however, whatever person on your team that that person's dealing with at the time, right? So it's very simple to have everybody on your team. And if they're not lead generating for you, then you might have wrong people sitting in the wrong places on the bus. But you should be able to leverage all of this. All right. So when we're determining what my lead generation is going to be is something that's enjoyable enough for me to sustain, it's effective enough for me to have produced results, and yet it's structured enough for me to be able to repeat it over and over again or be able to leverage it. Because fun doesn't replace function, but it does fuel consistency. You don't have to love what you do for lead generation. It just can't burn you out. All right. If it drains you, you're going to quit. If it fuels you, you'll win. You build your business around what fuels you. And what does that look like? That's up to you. But you can lead generation off of just about anything that's in your life. If you love playing golf, you can lead generation off of being a golfer. If you love holding events, boy, can you lead generate off of that. Right? Does that make sense? And I'm trying to figure out. Okay. So this actually, I'm going to quit sharing because I've already looked and I see
Looks like
Scott's got
Scott
it.
has a question.
Give me a second.
Yeah, when you have a moment.
Yep, I'm trying to get it back. Okay, so we stop. I'm sorry. Yes, Scott. Obviously, you can see that technology. That's why I have somebody on my team for technology because it's not really my forte.
I'm in the same boat with you there. So I got a question about, so say for example, like, you have like the events and stuff. Now, is that considered prospecting or marketing?
Well, I'm assuming who are the people that are coming to your event? Is it strangers or are you doing this as an event for your past clients? Or you're
I feel
just
like for
an
past
event to
clients,
try to meet new people
for past clients.
or past clients? Then it's obviously prospecting and that you're trying to get with it's you're just trying to
Mhm.
deepen that relationship with those existing clients that you already have to make sure that you are not only the logical choice, you're the obvious and only choice
Right.
for somebody that they know.
That's interesting. I always thought like an event would be like a marketing kind of angle of lead generation, but
And it would be if it was some random thing that you were just trying to do in introducing people from the outside world. When
it,
you change it into a client event, to me that changes it.
so it's really based on the relationship.
Right. Yeah. Because what you're really doing for your clients is you try to deepen that relationship.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
So it's a no-brainer. If where their RAS will start picking up when they hear somebody on the other side of the room at a party that they're in saying they're thinking about buying or selling. Are the clients that you have, are they gonna run over to that individual and say, "Hey, stop. I know you're thinking about it. I don't care if you're gonna sell or buy your house or not ever. I'm just telling you, if you need to do anything with real estate, you need to go see Scott Bryant. Are your clients like that for you?
Yeah,
Then that if not, that's how you're gonna deepen that relationship with those client events. Now we talked about it. What if one client if one client referred a different client to you once a year, your business would double every year, wouldn't it? Right. Imagine if you had such a relationship with them that I used to joke around with my clients. I said, when this is all over and done with, I want you to feel obligated to go down to your local tattoo parlor and tattoo our team name on the side of your arm. And they start laughing. And I said, no, I don't expect that you're going to do that, but that's the feeling we want you to have. I've already started planting that seed right there by doing that. And maybe that's the same thing that you can do too. Every time you talk to a client, especially one that knows you, likes you, and refer you, say, do you have my team tattooed on the side of your arm yet? And they say, well, no, of course not. Well, then I need to treat you better, Let them think about things like that. But you want to be the only choice, the obvious choice, the local real estate expert that everybody comes to, especially your people. And how do you separate yourself by doing that? And doing. So the ones just to wrap it again, why not make sure I understand the difference between prospecting and marketing. If you need money now, you need to be doing the prospecting. Marketing is long term. Your database is your gold. You've got to do the database. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That's the core lead generation that you have to do. And hopefully you got a systemized way of doing that. If not, you get in touch with me or Bridget and we'll get you that DDT2 so you can turn it into something systemizable.
Dale,
Yeah.
I did put that in the chat for everybody earlier.
Okay. Thank you. And then third is your custom lead generation. Make it to where if you don't like lead generation, you're not going to do it. So make it something that you're going to like to do and that you will do on a regular basis. And you'll see a world of difference in the results, whatever that is. Those are the biggest things that I wanted to make sure that you got out of this. What other questions can I answer for anybody?
I have a little tip.
Sure.
So I do a lot of, well, last year I did a lot of client events, but
Mhm.
then I wasn't doing the analysis part of it. I was having this big event, had this big gala, big party, 100 people, yada, yada. And I never tracked what came of it. And once I finally did, I noticed that I wasn't getting the best ROI. So this year I'm scaling back. So I would say, like, yes, have the events if that's your personality style, but don't let that go over your head like it did with me, where it's like, oh, we're partying. They're gonna like, no, they're partying, like, let's send a thank you note, let's follow up, let's make things systematized after the event and maybe not have it too big all the time where you can't talk to everybody. Because there were events where it's like, I didn't even get to talk to, this or that person. So those are some things that I learned and spent a lot of money on. If someone cannot make the same mistake, that'd be good.
Well, thank you for that, Amber. I appreciate that. Are you a solo agent or you have a team?
I have a team in New Jersey.
Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, how big is the team? How many people are on your
There are
team?
7 of us.
And most of them are in the
7.
room.
Oh,
Yes.
most of them are in
Everyone
the
on
room. Well,
Amber's
welcome,
team,
guys.
come on camera and wave.
Shout out to
Hey, Marcia.
Marcia, Sabrina.
All right. Because the people that are helping you, the people that are part of your team are also helping you to making sure that we're deepening those relationships with those clients and systematizing it. And if you don't know what you have if you don't track, right? On any kind of lead generation, regardless of whether it's events or whether it's door knocking or whatever the case may be. If you don't track your results, how do you know if it's working for you or not? So do we dump it? Do we double down on it, or do we kind of delay it because this isn't quite working right now for whatever reason? So that's the big part of that tracking is just for that purpose. So it's a form of red light, green light, right?
1,000,000%.
Yeah, yeah.
So, how do you differentiate, Dale, between your pipeline and your database? And if people feel their pipeline is dead in the water, what do you
Well,
recommend?
right. My data, this is how I personally believe it. Database is my relationship, is my people that I have relationships with. My pipeline, I'm looking at this is what should be coming up out of those people that I have relationship with or people that they know that have relationship with. How many of those are looking to buy, sell, invest, or invest in real estate anytime between now and the next year? Then I call that my pipeline. Those people would then fall into my pipeline. If you ever studied Tim Heil on his lead generating machine, so to speak. He didn't believe in so many contacts a day. You've probably been brought up that you need to make so many contacts per day. He believed that he added so many people to his pipeline per day. And, he kept track of his pipeline as opposed to just the number of calls and contacts that I made. How many people are looking that at any time within the next year are looking to do something. That became what he focused on in his pipeline is his pipeline. I distinguish the difference between a pipeline and a database. Pipeline to me is people that are going to be doing business. Database are the people that I have relationship with, regardless of whether or not they have anybody or nobody or somebody within the next year or not, because they probably will before the year is done at some point. But they're not in my pipeline as of yet. Does that make sense?
So, what if someone here today, no one has to raise hands if you don't want to, but what if they feel as if there are not enough leads in their pipeline? What would you recommend they do now?
Deepen relationships. Double down on your relationships. I mean, if you only have 20 people in your database to begin with, then obviously, you have to build the database before you can communicate with it and before you can, develop leads off of it. But if you have enough people in your database to begin with, then that's what you're doubling down on, is making sure that those people you're in contact with them on a regular basis. And it's not every time you talk to them, hey, know anybody who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? No. Know anybody who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? No. Okay. It's not like that. Hey, how are you? Hey, I just ran across something the other day. They got this, I don't know. We have the county fair that's coming in next week, and they got this one ride that I tried once, and I had to let you know about it, whatever the case may be. It's just to deepen that relationship, but you need to know a little bit about them to be able to deepen the relationship. What's their favorite sports team? You may go deep into that to build that connection and to strengthen that connection.
I have a question.
Sure.
So everybody has different personality styles. I am pretty outgoing, but for people who might be naturally introverted or just like newer into real estate, do you have any tips on things they can do to deepen relationships with people that they may not know too deeply yet?
So, all right, ID is never going to have a problem about meeting new people, right? All right. And high I is probably not going to have too much problem meeting new people. um, or communicating. I S maybe a little more shy. A high C is probably going to be a high C is probably going to be more for your systems, developing your systems, to make sure how you connect with everybody on it. If you have somebody that's on your team that's a high C, you might want them looking at your system and model of how you go about a high C. I guarantee you is the one that created the DDD2, not a high D, but whoever created that, guarantee you they were high C. So your high Cs that are on your team, you may want to look at them as what other systems can we use, or what other models can we use to be able to expand on our lead generation model, and have them develop the systems and the models and the touches and exactly how many times we need to be able to send something out, things like that, but not necessarily be the one on the phone or zooming with them, or going to lunch with them. They have a strength, and we try to keep them in that strength that they have. So did that help?
So what about an S? Somebody like who's like, hey, I don't find joy just walking up to strangers introducing myself. Like, how do they
Right.
get out of their own way, kind of thing? And
The high S's are the ones that you're probably, all right, what role do they play on your team, your high S? Is there one in
let's say
particular you're
they're
thinking of?
no, nobody's in particular, but
Okay.
like a buyer specialist, right? So if they're like, hey, I'm down to earth and easy to talk to, but it's just not I'm not oozing with bubbles every day. Like, how do I deepen relationships and get to know people and be comfortable with that? Just
All
wondering.
right, then your high S that's a buyer specialist is going to be focused on under past clients and continuing to develop those relationships, because now because they feel safe and secure with past clients that they've dealt with, they would have a better time relating with them. Your administrative people would be are your high S's, like that security is, if your admin, they'll have a lot easier time with the 82-year-old grandmother that likes to sit down and have tea and talk about their grandchildren. Over the phone, your high S's and especially your high I's would relate to that a lot easier. That's what I was asking the position. So in any case, your high S's will probably focus more on past clients than trying to generate new clients.
That was helpful. Thank you.
Put them in their wheelhouse. What do they feel comfortable doing? You ever read a book called Strength Finders?
Strengths finders?
Remember? Yeah. Strength Finders is a book that, you've been all your life as you grew up, you were told you always need to work on your weaknesses, right? Strength Finders argues that. It says, no, what you need to do is you need to master your strengths. And then you find somebody else to handle the weaknesses that you have, because that's going to be their strength, and putting that right seat on the bus. And so if you haven't read the book Strength Finders, and it's actually got a test. I want to say the word test. It's not really a test, but it's a guide to help you determine what your strengths are. And it's pretty interesting. If you have a team of 9 people, have everybody in a book club reading that. It's a pretty short read too. It's not a novel, and it's a very quick read. And have everybody do that so they get a better understanding of not only what their strengths are, but what everybody else's strengths on the team are, and how now this makes more sense for this person to be doing this, and I should be doing this, and that kind of stuff. It's a great book for teams to get a better understanding of themselves and their role on the team, even when it comes to lead gen.
So, Dale, how critical is our vendor relationships?
Oh yeah, vendors. Yeah. You should be able to. Well, as long as they understand reciprocity, they they should be very good for you. If you have a roofer that you're sending 8 or 10 people a year to re-roof, and you've never gotten a referral back from them, then you got an issue, right? Or if you have a lender, well, I'll jump off the lender because I can go such a rabbit hole down lenders and everything. So I'll just kind of avoid that. We'll just keep to air conditioning, service lenders, service providers, things like that. They should be part of what you call your core advocates. If you're sending business to them, they need to be reciprocating and sending business to you. If not, you need to have a conversation. You don't have to get nasty about it. I've sent 12 people to you and you ain't sent me nothing. What's your problem? But I can have a conversation. I must ask if you have somebody that's thinking about what you're selling, who are you referring them to? Because it doesn't appear to be me. And what do we need to do to change that? But yeah, your vendors, the people that you do business with, should be doing business with you or referring business to you.
And I would say, even prior to the conversation you just mentioned, Dale, make sure you're asking them for referrals. I can't
Right?
tell you how many agents I've met over the course of the last 28 years that, oh, my vendors love me. Do they give you any business? No, but they're really great and they're fast and they're this and they're that. But you should be getting business referrals from your vendors. But a key thing
Exactly.
is, are you asking? Because then I would say, well, how often do you ask them for referrals? Well, I don't ask. I just know that they'll send them my way. So make sure you're
And
asking.
how do you know that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Make sure you
How do you know that? So what other questions can I answer for you? Was this supposed to be for an hour and a half?
it was an hour of content of a
Oh, okay.
presentation.
Okay, my apologies. I was under the impression it was like an hour for everything.
Yeah, then Q&A. Could you differentiate more for people? What is the difference between, how do you delineate between marketing and prospecting? Giving activity examples.
Anything that if I hire the Goodyear blimp and I fly it around my neighborhood, that's marketing. I'm trying to get somebody to contact me as opposed to me reaching out to them. Anytime I'm reaching out to my database, that is prospecting. Or I'm reaching out to a for sale by owner, or I'm reaching out to anybody for any kind of reason having to do with the business. That is prospecting. Marketing is just you're putting out something with your hope that it would draw people to call you. So marketing is all about having them call you. Prospecting is all about you reaching out to them. That's probably the simplest way to put it.
Okay.
Uh, and so that's which makes kind of everything kind of
And who should be in people's database?
who should be in their data. What I'm not sure what you mean. What kind of people or who should be in my database?
In my experience with clients, their database is much smaller than it could be.
Oh,
And they don't put people in that have earned the right to be in there and deserve to be in there. If someone, let me just ask the group, show of hands, who has less than 600 people in your database? Okay. If you open your phone right now and go to contacts, how many contacts are in your phone? The average in America is between 1,100 and 1,400. Do you think there's some people in your phone that should probably be in your database? So if their pipeline is slow or they're feeling like they don't have enough, could they potentially have more people that have earned the right to be in their database that aren't in there yet?
course, of course. I remember when I first got into the business, somebody told me to go out into the local bookstore. Well, there was two books that I had to have. One was the Yellow Pages, and the other is the Baby Book, the Book of Baby Names. And you start with one or the other. And if you start with the Yellow Pages, then it's like, who do I know that's an accountant? Who do I know that's an air conditioning? And when I get to B's, who do I know that's a baker? Who do I know that's a builder? Whatever the case may be. And you went through the entire Yellow Pages of trying to figure out who do I know that works in any of those realms. Then the Baby Book was, who do I know named Aaron? Who do I know named Alice? Who do I know named, I don't know, Angelica? You know, and so on with every single baby name. So you just don't forget anybody because it's amazing how many people you'll forget that you know. And regardless of where they're located, I think a lot of people have this hang up about, I don't want to put John in my database because he lives in Walla Walla, Washington, and I'm in Florida. So I don't need to have him in my database. No, if John is somebody that you have a relationship with that you believe would refer somebody to you, regardless of whether you are in Florida or you are in Walla Walla, Washington, he needs to be in your database. And you need to be in touch with them on a regular basis so you can get those referrals for anything that he needs, regardless of where the person's at,
One of
because I'm
the
sure he knows more people outside of Washington.
Right. One of the most consistent lead generating agents I've ever met in all my time is a man out of Chicago, and he calls me every quarter. And he has since about 2004 and never misses. It's wild. He just has a system. He just treats it the way that Dale's describing, and he calls. Doesn't matter that he's called me since I lived in Maryland. Okay, which that was a long time ago, and he's an example of I've been in Maryland, California, Nevada, and now Arizona, and without fail, he calls me every quarter. Do I always answer? What's your guess is? Do I always answer when he calls?
That's not the
No.
point.
Yeah. Is he saved in my phone? Yeah. And I see that it's him. And then I'll call it back or I'll say, hey, I'm in a meeting. Have I sent him business? Yes. Right. So you want to be like Frank. And by the way, it didn't even matter if I changed companies. Like he didn't care. He didn't care about anything. Like Dale was saying, Frank doesn't care where I am, what I'm doing, what company I'm with, what state I'm in. He just calls every quarter. I answer when I can. I call back when I can. Some quarters I don't call back, but I saw you called. So, like, just get in that mindset. Does anyone have any other questions about either your database or developing it or developing that pipeline?
Or a custom lead generation plan for you. Here's my last question that I have for everybody. So I'm not looking for answers, but that's a question that you might want to be asking yourself. What's the one thing you're going to start doing today? Or what's the one thing you're not going to do anymore because it's not working for you? If you can track your numbers on your lead generation, you know it'll be what's working for you. And whether or not you need to double down on it.
Dale, I'm curious too. Sometimes people, when you mention what are they going to stop doing, how long do people have to field test a source of business before they give up on it?
Well, with anything, you have to give it enough time to be able to work. And it's really kind of dependent on what that is. If it's not costing you a whole bunch of money, then you're probably going to give it a little more time to see if it works. And that's really kind of personal preference. I believe that you don't do anything for less than 6 months to figure out whether or not it works. That's just my personal belief. Now, if I'm spending $1 million a month on something and I'm not getting results on it, I might move up that timetable. But especially if it's not really costing me anything, it's a prospecting thing as opposed to a marketing. Because marketing is probably more, it's going to have more costs associated with it than prospecting would. But if it's a prospecting thing and it doesn't cost me a whole bunch of money to continue to do it, then I'll probably give that more time than something that I really believe is digging into my wallet too much. But I would say in general, I'd give anything just about 6 months to give it an
I'd
idea.
say that's fair in our industry. We typically, even post COVID, post recession, post whatever, we do tend to run in a 90-day sales cycle. So you've got to give it at least the 6 months. So you've got two full cycles. Now I understand that different cycles overlap, but if you're not seeing anything with the beginning of 6 different 90-day cycles, then that's a pretty safe place to analyze it. The one thing I'd be wary of is you don't want to pull the plug on something just because it gave you leads, but not deals yet. So if it's at month
Oh,
6 and you've got 3 people that are close to signing, and someone signed a buyer agency, that's signs that something is there. You probably just need to modify your approach, your follow up, and your consistency. So just make sure that you don't pull the plug reactively because, well, I haven't had a listing yet or I haven't had a sale yet. You've got to look and analyze, and you've got to make sure you're not delusional. Make sure you're not calling people leads and or building the relationship into more than it is. But you've got to give that a good analysis at that 6 month mark and then decide, do you give it 3 more months because you do have some leads and nurtures? Or is it a good time to pull the plug?
it's kind of like the thought in real estate that if somebody's not successful in real estate, it's really only one of two reasons. It's either effort or training, right? It's either a lack of effort or a lack of training. So the same thing with your lead generation. If you starting to see some of the sparks there, like you have some people that are showing interest, maybe it's the lack of training. Maybe I need to tweak what I'm saying just a little bit to get me the better results. Or are you not putting enough time into it to make sure that the effort's there to be able to create more results? So you could always ask yourself that. All right, what's the situation here? If it's not a lack of effort, it might be a lack of training. So maybe I need to tweak what I'm doing just a little bit. Let me get with somebody who also does this, and maybe they have something that I don't know about that might be able to help me. And there's always people that I can help you, right? Especially myself or Bridget, you know.
Yeah.
So
Any other questions?
right.
What are some takeaways from today? Can a few of you unmute and share something that you're going to take with you moving forward?
I look forward to the notes. One of the takeaways I liked was that you have to do something that is like that comes natural to you that won't burn you out. Cause I think that's different for everybody. But my team, we usually do the same things together. But maybe we need to dial in and say, well, Amber likes to do this, but like, what do you like to do, Marcia? And make sure everybody's addressed, everybody's goal and what their style might be.
Sometimes it's just nice to have somebody repeat and beat into your brain DD214 and just do it. It's something I've been told 1,000 times over. I need a refresher every now and then.
Sometimes going back to basics is what you need, right?
Right. Agreed.
Pro football players, they work more on the basics than anything else.
Well, I know that Dale also has opportunities. If any of you would like a one-to-one conversation with him, we put his contact information in the chat and you can do that. I know you're here today, so you're probably like, what? I can't come back Thursday. Thursday, we're doing the second half surge, and it is going to be an hour and a half of action items to absolutely make the last half of 2026 better than the first half, regardless of what you've done so far the first half. And some people are having really strong years. If you're unable to attend live, it will be recorded. And if you register for it, we'll make sure that even if you're not there, we will send you the recording and the slides. We did put some other things on here. Luxury Lounge is the first Thursday of every month. And I think a few of you here have come to the Luxury Lounge. That's an interactive hour where literally agents from across the country and sometimes from out of the country just share what's happening in the luxury market. And sometimes they ask for help. Sometimes we do a deep dive on what's working. One time we even did a deep dive on a viral video that Amber had on a luxury property. So feel free to join us there too. I want Dale, I want to hand this over to you for some final thoughts. The one thing I'd say, and Matt, I kind of want to reiterate, I want to piggyback on what you were saying. The reality of our industry is you have to talk to people. If your business isn't where you want it to be right now, you have to talk to more people to reinforce what Dale's every day, daily, to reinforce what Dale was saying. You may as well start in the warmest pond, which is the people that you know. So just really challenge yourself. And a little thought, if anyone here is feeling like your pipeline is not where you want it to be as we go into this end of second quarter, beginning of the third quarter, pick how many closings you want in the third quarter. Someone give me a number. How many closings do you want in the third quarter? Give me a number. How many?
6.
6. Okay, guess what? Every day, starting today until the end of the third quarter, make sure you talk to 6 people a day. Simplify it down. And I mean two-way communication, preferably voice to voice. I do know that there's some people where it could be text. Don't delude yourself. Don't send someone a text, hey, how are you doing? I'm doing great. See you at the game. Okay, don't count that one, right? But if you have two-way digital communication about real estate, where you're looking for a need, an appointment, or a referral, have 6 of those every day between now and the end of the third quarter. Guess what happens? You activate your RAS to work in your behalf, and you will be shocked at how often it's going to match. So that's an action step you guys could take right now. Just talk to more people. And usually, now, by the way, if you already make more than 6 contacts per day, this is 6 contacts in that realm of VIP, past clients, sphere of influence, vendors. It's the key people. Right. So don't reduce from 20 a day down to 6. Make sure you have 6 key communication every day. Dale, I'm going to hand it back to you so you can give us some final thoughts and a closeout.
Well, just touching on that a little bit, if you consider your core advocates, the people that are should have your name tattooed on your arm, but they don't yet. If you think about them, people like to hang out with people that they know and they like and they trust. And if there's a much of advocate, you're constantly in good communication with them. Trust me, if you want to add people to your database right into your pipeline, I guarantee it, they'll bring them. Those people will actually bring them for you and put them in there for you virtually. And then the other biggest thing is the I see the drudgery. Everybody looks at it as drudgery as lead generation is drudgery. And even Gary Keller is say you have to get used to monotonous or you have to master the art of monotony.
Repetitious boredom.
Yeah, repetitious boredom. It doesn't always have to be that way. If you love doing something, whether it's underwater basket weaving, I don't know, but then follow that passion, and you'll figure out ways. Your RAS will figure out ways to turn it into a lead generation machine for it. So, but again, going back to what's the best lead generation tool for you. It's the one you're going to do daily on a regular basis, and you have to enjoy it to be able to do it. So just find what you enjoy and expand on that.
Let's give Dale some thanks for sharing with us. And again, the contact information there is there to reach out. If you are able to, I'd love to see you on Thursday. And you can do second half surge. Make this the week that you get totally prepped for summer. And I look forward to thank you guys all for coming.
Take care, guys.